So what do you do if you have bound off your project and you don't like the bind off and you want to redo it? So I'm going to show you how to tink back or undo a bind off. So this works for any kind of standard bind off where you have 2 stitches on your right needle and you pull one over the second and off. You'll need your 2 needles ready. So if you look on this side, you can see a line of knit stitches, right? Those are actually my bound off stitches. So from my right side, it's a little bit harder to see, but if I start pulling where the tail is, I'm kind of pulling out the bind off, right? So this loop here that the tail is coming from is a stitch. So I'm going to place that stitch back on my needle, and if I tug it up, you can actually see that it looks like a stitch, right? So I can actually pull out that tail completely. So as we can see, the tail is holding the last stitch here as well. So we actually need to pull that tail out of that last stitch. So go ahead and do that, kind of just grab the tail and pull it out. And now we just have an exposed stitch. So you can place that on your left needle. And here's our working yarn, you see? So now it gets slightly harder, but not too hard. So do you see those 2 bumps? There's actually 2 bumps here. Do you see them? There's a smaller one closer to my thumb, and there's a bigger one closer to my needle. So if we look below the smaller one, there's actually a stitch. Do you see that? It's got a small hole there. So what we're going to do is we are going to put our left needle in this hole here. So go ahead and place your needle in that hole. Push it through. So then there's only the bigger loop that was closer to the right needle originally. So you're going to go from right to left with your right needle and pick that up. And then just pull on the working yarn and it pulls it out. And you undid 1 bound off stitch. We're going to do that same thing. So if you look here, you can see 2 purl bumps, or what appear to be purl bumps. And then there's something that looks like a stitch below it, and there's a hole. We're going to place our left hand needle in there, and then in the other bump, which is this one right here, we're going to place our right hand needle from right to left in there, and then pull the working yarn. And it just undid it. So you're just going to keep doing that all the way down. So here are those 2 bumps, and just below those 2 bumps is a hole. Place your left hand needle in that, and then place your right hand needle in that remaining bump from right to left. And then just pull on your working yarn to undo it. Very simple. Once you get the hang of it, it goes quite quickly. So you go into the bottom with the left, into the top with the right, and pull. Bottom, top, pull. And then when you get to the last one, it's a little bit harder to see. But if you tug on the working yarn, you can kind of see that hole right there. And it's always the hole directly below the working yarn, or where the yarn is kind of going into. So that small hole there. So just go into it, and then you go into that top bump right here with your right needle, and then pull. And then you are back to the beginning of the round, as if you had just worked the first stitch of your row in the manner that you did. So I had purled it, so if I wanted to go back and knit it, I would just tink it back normally. And there you have it. We just undid a standard purl bind off, but the same concept applies for a knit bind off, so let me show you. So here I've done a standard knit bind off. You can see that at the top. And so this one's actually easier, because if you look, the hole that you need to place the left hand needle into is right there. Super simple. So place that into that hole, and then actually this knit stitch here, which the loop on your right hand needle is coming out of, that is what you go into with your right hand needle. And then you pull on your working yarn, and voila. And just, again, into that stitch, then into the stitch that the loop is coming out of, pull on it, undone. So I hope you found that helpful. If you did, please like this video and subscribe for more tutorials like this.